Hello, welcome to Sophie's Voice. Come in, come in, come in. I'm going to try something a little bit different today, so just relax and enjoy. And I'm going to try and do the same. I don't know if this is going to work or if it's a failed experiment, but whatever it is, I'm going to put it up because I haven't got any energy to do anything else today. So I was going to talk about the rapture, which of course doesn't mean much to people who aren't probably. There's a certain even category of Christian. I think some groups of Christians it doesn't have much meaning at all, but in some groups of Christians it has a lot of meaning, the rapture, and increasingly so. So you sort of get into certain little parts of the internet where people are obsessively talking about it and expecting it, and you see it in comments like, he's coming any minute, like he's going to come and take us away from here. So yes, it's definitely in certain people's psyche. And when I first became a Christian, it was a sort of a given in the circles I was in. Like, you were just taught that's just what the Bible teaches, and so you just accept it and you go, oh, okay. Along with a whole lot of other stuff, you just accept it, take it all on. So what I'm going to try and do is do a drawing at the same time. I don't know if this is going to work. Like I say, experiment, not asparagus. But it's partly because I have this intention, because lovely Jane got in touch with me and she's suggested that I get back on the niece scheme, which would mean, for anyone who doesn't understand what that means, it means starting your own business. So I did have a go at starting my own business as an artist some time back. But I think when I think about it now, I think I got discouraged. It's a long time since I worked in charcoal, by the way, so I don't know how I'm going to go. This page is a bit wonky, so I don't know what I'm going to do. But what I'm thinking is, so getting back into the frame of mind of doing art as a sort of as the thing you do kind of thing. And I thought, oh well, maybe I can sort of bring this podcast kind of idea into it and see if I can sort of bring the worlds together a bit. So I've been out here working on my studio, getting it a bit set up. I've had my grandkids over, a couple of my grandkids over, the ones that are in this state, and we've had a lovely time out here getting the studio set up, doing a bit of painting, doing a bit of clay. So I want to try and get back to doing classes, because that's sort of the main. It's sort of a great way to engage with other people that are kind of keen about art as well. And trying to include it in their lifestyle. And so if you've got a studio, you've got a bit of knowledge and some skills and a certain attitude, you can give people an opportunity to get creative and learn some new skills. But it's a way of being sustainable as an artist, because it's really hard to work out what is actually sellable as an ongoing, every week making enough money to pay your rent. That's kind of, so that I think that's why I sort of gave it up, because it felt like it was such a stress to try to figure out how to. It's sort of like, I figured it was like, the creative part of you is a bit like a child. And so it felt like there was all this pressure on this part of you that's kind of like a child to come up with, to sort of understand how money works and how people, what's going to make people spend money. And and money always feels weird for certain temperaments. It always feels a bit weird to be asking for money for things like art, things like the things you do that are creative. It's like, how do you put a value on that? How do you understand? It's always such a huge stress. But I feel like I've grown a lot since then. I've learned a lot. I feel like God's been teaching me lots and growing me up in areas that were a bit stuck maybe. And I feel like now, I don't know if it's just that same sort of dreamy part of me that thinks everything's going to be fine, but I feel like this is maybe the time to give it another go. And also, like, being home, being a carer at the moment for my mum, and also Tim, in a sense, kind of looking out for him. Being, it's sort of ideal if I can be working from home, and hopefully it sounds like I can kind of use, still under the niche scheme with my business plan, I can make it kind of broad, so I can bring my things like my dance class under that as well. And so, yeah, feels kind of positive. So I just thought, come out here in the studio, start getting the studio a bit more, let's just do a bit of negative space. I'm not really, like I said, it's a long time since I've done charcoal, but I do love charcoal. Love me a bit of charcoal. So has anyone else done charcoal? Let me know if you're watching and if you like charcoal. If you've done any life drawing, that's where I first, I think, learnt to use charcoal. Was back about 30 odd years ago, going to life drawing classes for the first time. That was pretty cool. That was the first time I sort of set upon myself. I was like, oh yeah, I should be an artist, yeah. Because I didn't really know what I was or what I should be, or what have I done. And I'd just been a home mum, a stay-at-home mum when that was still sort of a thing. I think it still is a thing, really, but there is just more pressure on women to not stay in the home. And so that's another thing, actually. It sort of like feels like part of what I want to do, or, in a broader sense with whatever I do to make money, to sort of celebrate women in the home, because it's sort of become a bit of a thing for women to feel a bit ashamed of being in the home, and feel that being in the home is a sort of like a betrayal of womanhood, or something, like, that you've got to sort of fight against some idea that, that a woman's place is in the home, and kind of like as if you're letting womanhood down to just think about, that a woman's place is in the kitchen. And like people make, obviously make a lot of jokes about that. And so, but I think what's happened is that women have lost their place of natural authority. I think we've lost the sort of understanding. I think probably since the, particularly since the industrial age, and factories, and probably wanting, people that have got money wanting women to be out in the workforce, wanting to harness that aspect of the workforce. It sort of encouraged the whole idea of getting women out of the home, because it used to be that not only was the woman's domain in the home, but woman's work was stuff that you could do in the home while you're looking after kids and old people and animals and all the things that you do in the home. So I figure probably being a self-employed artist is the closest you get to that. So I can look after my mum and all my cats. It's getting a bit like that. I don't know how I'm going to do this. So the reason I thought I'd do this vase is because I saw it the other day and I thought, oh, gee, that'd look nice in a still life, wouldn't it? So I thought, seeing as when I was getting ready to do the podcast, and I thought, oh, I really just would like to draw. That would be what I would really like to do. I'm just so tired. And then I thought, well, if I did a little drawing and that could get me used to like looking at this thing, and if I'm going to do a painting, then I would have done a bit of background work for that. So, but I didn't know how difficult it was going to be because it's got a lot of sort of reflections and designs on it. So planning to get some classes happening, get this studio. It's a big shed that we're in. And if I move my camera around, I've got it set on a tripod, and if I move it around, sometimes it disconnects and it's very annoying. So I won't do that. But I should have got an eraser. But yeah, it's a big messy old shed that I've got, and I got a lot of stuff left over from doing all the different, like I did a community art barn up in the hills and accumulated a whole lot of stuff from that I hold on to with the hope that one day I'm going to get myself set up again. And then also after the cafe, I've got a lot of stuff accumulated, and sometimes I wonder, am I going to do another cafe? Is that what we're going to do? And I got all excited after COVID and getting involved with all the freedom community. I was like really enthusiastic about starting a community hub kind of idea because it felt like we had to do something for all the people that were kind of didn't want to go with the technocracy and the New World Order, and wanted to go different ways. So I was being sort of proactive about that and thought, well, we'll make our own community and we'll get organic food and we'll share it and we'll have cafe and look after our old people together and look after our children and homeschool and I mean, it's very inspiring. Sometimes you come across communities online where people are doing that. I came across one the other day where they were looking for people. There's some family who's got some land in some Asian country. I can't remember what it was, like Indonesia. No, felt like something else. But they'd got some beachfront land and were looking for people to join them on their big adventure of setting up a community, and they wanted like-minded people to join them. I thought, I don't know if I really want to go to another country, but maybe it'll come to that. No, I don't think so. I think I would like to visit other countries and be involved in projects, but I do think I would like to stay here. But it sounded lovely, and, there's so many people trying, having a go at different ways of doing their own thing. And, there's this sort of dream of having, some sort of community property and growing food and being a bit independent from the government. Hang on, what have I done? It's hard to tell, isn't it? What's fantasy and what's reality in these regards. But I would like to have some land at some point. But it's difficult to know how to organize a community and what principles to organize it under. Like this one that I just saw, they were Christian, which would work for me. But even that, like, what sort of Christian? Like, you get all kinds of funny kind of versions of Christianity that you sort of realize, like, oh, I wouldn't fit in with that. And then you had people in the comments going, oh, well, that excludes a whole lot of people. And it's like, yeah, but, it's all right to exclude people if they're not on the same page with you. Like, yeah. So anyway, I sort of, at the end of the day, I do feel like a bit more now these days, like, oh, sorry. Like we should not give up on our culture and stand our ground and expect that it is going to get better if we stay in it and we kind of bring positivity to it. That's what I feel. So that fits in well with the idea of creating a sort of an art lifestyle where you can bring positivity into people's lives, because creativity is positive, isn't it? I don't know where my I need an eraser. I wonder if the masking tape will do it. Yeah, so yeah, part of that creativity is also being aware of, like I said, the idea of woman's work that's been a bit lost is that a woman being in the home wasn't just a matter of women, of everyone else being out in the world doing interesting things, and women were stuck at home doing the washing, even though I'm sure that kind of happened. But I think that's more in the machine age, like more coming into our age. But traditionally, I think if you think about the home is the center, really. Home is the center of life. And you go out and do things, but you come into the home, and that's the center. And I feel like that's really where the domestic realm is, where a woman's authority is, and power, the feminine power and authority is in the domestic realm. And that's why women are kind of feel a bit like they don't really know where they fit in, what they're meant to be doing, and will quite often sort of be more sort of in a competition sort of feeling with men, like that they've got to compete. I mean, that's been overt, hasn't it, for a while, that it's sort of virtuous for women to get out there into a man's world, and there's this idea of trying to make it all equal, everyone doing the same things. And so women compete with men, and there's sort of shame on men if they don't, encourage women to compete with them or something. I don't know. It gets all very confusing. And does that work? Something like that. All right, let's see if this works. Oh yeah, I think it does. Let's make a little highlight somewhere. See, so if we could make a nice highlight. Yeah. It's not going to work very well. I should have grabbed an eraser before I started. I wouldn't know where to look now. Or would I? I don't know. Anyway. Yes, women's work and being in the home and cooking. And I'm sort of hoping that if I do some cooking, because I recently cooked a lasagna for the RSL, because the cook was away, and I was very encouraged by the lovely feedback I got. And I thought, it'd be nice to have cooking as part of something I do, because, when you've been a mum for 5 kids, day in, day out, having to come up with cooking, I mean, they're real life skills, but they don't necessarily, I have worked in cafes a bit, but they don't necessarily translate in the same way. That the kind of skills you learn being home with kids and having to come up with food every day is a little bit different to being in a money oriented environment. You know, it's just a different reality, isn't it? And that's why that's why I think women are actually more tuned to the domestic realm, and I think that's why they find the money realm a bit hard, because they don't really understand it in the same way men do, because they think it's a man's world. But yeah, I think women are naturally sort of, and it's sort of like anything is like, you know, you get variations on all these. It's not like a strict rule or something that all women are the same and all women are good at the same things. Obviously, it's not. But I think we're made in a certain way with certain abilities, and there is design to what the way we're made. And if we get outside of design, then we get into malfunction. And so yeah, I feel like part of what I would like to do is find a way to communicate this stuff about women and the home, and how beautiful it is, and what a lovely role it is to be, because it feels like it's not just about, you know, housework or something. In fact, that's, you know, why I sort of haven't gone down this path, because I'm so bad at housework. Housework has been my bane of my existence as a housewife. But so I'm not very good at housework. But I've realized, I've worked out my ways of doing it, and realized that it's sort of almost like one of the ways that it makes being a housewife seem like drudgery, and like you just want to get out of it and do something interesting, because it's like as if you were, you know, directing a film or doing something exciting and wonderful, but you really, all you did was sit around sort of writing emails and tidying your desk and doing things like that. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but I don't think being a housewife is more than getting the dishes done and doing the washing. So that's part of the management of the whole realm. But it's more than that, and it's about a place where people feel welcome, people feel nourished, and what it does is it kind of, like I said, it creates a realm, and if women are sort of guarding that dimension of social life, then it's something that everybody internalizes and sort of understands from their own inner world, the sense of being centered, of coming home, of all those sort of ideas are tied up in this, and that if you don't have anyone fulfilling that role, which is kind of what's happened a bit in our culture, that women, as I said, I think sort of pretty much tricked into abandoning their position, and that I think when women lose that position, leave that position, then the weight of that falls on children. So I think there's been a sort of generations of, oh, that doesn't look too good, does it? A bit crooked, who have sort of taken the brunt of women not being in the home, and then, as I said, it kind of stops you from developing, I think, a sense, when you don't have a sense of home. When you don't have a sense of home, you know, if you don't kind of get that from someone, kind of, like I said, it's like a realm. It's like you sort of create that feeling of a home, and if nobody's doing that, then it's very hard to sort of find it in yourself. That's what it felt like to me. Like I feel like my mum was tricked into abandoning. Like I feel like she was a kind of a natural mother, but she was kind of tricked into abandoning her role, and also she was a single mother, so she was kind of caught up in working and all that jazz. What did I do? Oh, what's that? Windows security. Oh, okay. So yeah, so then it was something I felt like God was teaching me, and I suddenly started to realize that, um, yeah, if you haven't experienced that sense of a safety and a home, which, is not just about the woman, obviously, it's about the man creating a sense of safety around that. But I really do think that the domestic realm should be the realm of the feminine authority. And a lot of the kind of people that have come under the Christian idea of masculine authority over feminine authority. I think with women not really having like I say, not in our culture losing their sense of identity as the keepers of the home. It's meant that it's sort of created this sort of weird dynamic where a lot of women don't really have any authority or any sort of position, and they just sort of continually submitting to men, whereas it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like the design. I feel like men traditionally have always known that a woman has her own authority and her own sort of realm of authority, and that he like that if he doesn't let her do what she needs to do, then he's crazy. He's like needs her to be that, to run the household for him, for the wholeness of the family unit. Does that make sense? I don't think so. I don't feel like I'm quite explaining it, but I'm also trying to get this right, so that's my excuse. But yeah, it feels like realizing, it's sort of taken me a long time to realize that being a housewife, which is, like I said, my generation, it's not something you aspire to do. But being a housewife it's a big managerial role. And if we sort of give the home back its sense of center and importance and value, rather than just a pit stop where you feed, get something out of the freezer, chuck it in the microwave, sit in front of the telly, conk out, and then go back out to where life is happening. If we sort of restore the sense of home and center, then it's like we embody that as well. And as women, as the more we can reclaim that and live in that, we give that to other people too, to the whole community. We kind of become that, an expression of that. Now there's an image on there. Don't think I'm going to try and do that, but I'll try and. Yeah, it's not really. Do I really want to spend all this time doing some flippin' detail that? Maybe I'll just do an approximation. There's a whole horse and everything. Oh my goodness. Which would be quite fun to do, but certainly not in charcoal, I don't think. So I'll just make it look like something's going on here. And if I do a painting, I'll do it proper like, okay? And I had this idea I would like to do an exhibition with all about flowers. I found a little cafe nearby where I live, and it's called something Fleur, something something about flowers, Fleur or something, and what's going on there? And I thought, and they have exhibitions. So he said, yeah, come on, give us, put your name on the list or something. So I was going to go back and do that. And I thought it would be nice to do one all flowers, because that's one of the tricky things, is knowing what, like if you like doing lots of different things and lots of different things interest you, there's something really cool about just like if you did an exhibition just all of flowers. I thought, oh, that'd be so cool. I'd love to do that. Just focus on flowers and just not let myself do anything else, and just build that up a bit more. what am I saying? I'm not concentrating because I'm thinking about this. To, yeah, like, you know, if you do something over and over again, you develop it in a way that you don't if you don't. So we know that. I don't know. Anyway, I probably rattled on for long enough. I feel what else did I want to say? I can't remember. I was going to talk about the rapture. That's right. I even said that, didn't I? But it just didn't really feel like the night for it. It was funny because I just decided to do it, and my friend sent me my friend Karen. She's Karen. Karen gave me a beautiful flower. Where's my beautiful flower? It's gone. Karen sent me a video of some spiritual guy, a Christian guy, talking about how he thinks the rapture is nonsense. And I was like, oh. And it was like I'd just been thinking, like, I think I'll talk about the rapture. So, and then, so I thought it was like, oh, yeah, so I've got to do it. And then here I am. I just didn't, it's like you're going to do something like the rapture and it's a whole sort of serious subject. And you feel like you've got to have all this preparation and all the facts and figures. And it's like, that's hard work. So I thought I'd do this instead. But yeah, the rapture, what I was going to call it, why I don't believe in the rapture or something like that. So, I used to believe in it. I started talking about that, didn't I? Like, I remember we used to make jokes at church because that was in the days before your phones would sort you out for when daylight savings came. And what's the shadow and what's not? Anyway, hang on. Let's do that. And then when daylight savings would come, sometimes you hadn't changed your clock and you turn up at church and there'd be nobody there. And I can't remember if it was just a joke or if you actually thought it, but it was like, when you don't realise what's happened, you can't fathom it. Like you've done everything the same. You've rocked up. You're probably running late. I'm always running late, expecting to get there, and the whole thing's going. And you get there, and there's nobody there. And then it was like, oh, I thought the rapture had happened. That's what we used to joke about. I can't remember if I really thought it or not, or if we just joked about the idea. So yeah, I certainly accepted it. But then, as I've, there's a lot of things, a lot of reviewing I've done, and a lot of changes to what I first accepted as being what the Bible said. So I've learned sort of the difference between doctrine and scripture or truth or whatever. Like, just because something's doctrine doesn't mean it's in the Bible or even true. So people develop doctrine, and it's like you need doctrine. Just is sort of like doctrine is kind of like, you got food, you got raw material for food, and then you make a meal out of it. So you've got to prepare it to make it, where that people can consume it. So people need doctrine. But, you get these different, you start to realize you get these different communities within Christendom, or within the Christian church, I should say, not Christendom, within the Christian church, where some people, like I said, some areas of the church don't even consider the doctrine of the rapture. That's like, what's that? Because it's like the church never had it, and it's not part of historical Christianity. It just started in the 1800s. And it just, like, the fruit of it to me seems like clearly not What have I done? Oh, I probably should just stop and go in and watch Candace. It's about time to watch Candace. Is anyone else following Candace? She's keeping me in touch with what's going on at the moment. I'm not getting a chance to watch a lot at the moment, but Candace keeps me on the ball. What was I going to say? I can't remember. I'm tired. All right. Will that do for today? And yeah, I might do more videos in the studio, because the studio is fun and we got to bring it back to life, and then we're going to have art classes out here. And I had this idea recently of having arty farty parties, have like parties, you know how they have sip and paint things. Well, have that, but have it like, you know, real party. Oh, that's why I was thinking of bringing the food into it, and we could have food. I could make dinner and have a party, but you know, trying to figure out what you charge for these things, because it's sort of like you start thinking about it and you think, oh, I want all my friends to come, and then you go, but then it's like, give me money, and then you so anyway, trying to figure out how to make it a business, something to make money, and yeah, it's gonna be good. All right, God bless. Bye.